She never wore his ring. According to the stories kept alive by her own descendants, she wore his ashes. On her wedding day, the woman José Rizal loved for almost a decade walked down the aisle toward another man, and, family lore says, sewn into the hem of her white gown, hidden from every eye in the church, were the burned remains of the letters he had once written her. This is not the love story they taught you in school. This is the one that broke the heart of a national hero and may have helped forge it. The Girl in the Boarding House, Manila, 1879. The walled city of Intramuros breathes with the sounds of empire. Church bells, carriage wheels on cobblestone, the murmur of Latin from the University of Santo Tomas. Into a boarding house on Calle Santo Tomas walks an 18-year-old student from Calamba with restless eyes and a mind already too large for the colony that contains it. His name is José Rizal. The house is called Casa Tomasina, and it belongs to his uncle, Antonio Rivera. And there, in the doorway, in the lamplight, is the reason this story exists at all. Leonor Rivera is about 13 years old. She is a student at La Concordia College, the same school where Rizal's own beloved sister Olympia studies. She is described by those who knew her as slender and graceful, with a soft, high-singing voice, dark hair that falls almost to the floor when unbound, and eyes that seem to hold some quiet sadness even before life gives her reason for it. She plays the piano. She sings. She is, by every account that remembers her, luminous. She is also her distant relative. In the Philippines of the 19th century, this is no scandal. Marriages between cousins were common among Principalia families. What begins as familiarity between relatives sharpens, month by month, into something neither of them can name aloud. He walks her to school. She saves him a place at the table. He writes her verses. She memorizes them. But secrecy is survival. Leonor's mother, Doña Silvestra Bauzon, watches the young man from Calamba with narrowing eyes. He is brilliant, yes, but brilliance in the Spanish Philippines is a dangerous inheritance. His family is already entangled in land disputes with the Dominican friars of Calamba. To love José Rizal is to stand near a fire that has not yet started burning, but will. So the two young lovers invent a code. In her letters, Leonor signs herself with a hidden name, Times, a disguise, so that intercepted correspondence would betray nothing. Even love, in a colony built on surveillance, must wear a mask. For years, the romance grows in stolen glances and coded letters. And then, in 1882, José Rizal does something that will haunt Leonor Rivera for the rest of her short life. He disappears. The ship that sailed in silence. May 3rd, 1882. The steamer Salvadora pulls away from Manila Bay, bound for Singapore, then Europe. On its deck stands a 20-year-old Rizal, watching his homeland shrink into the horizon. He told almost no one he was leaving. There is no evidence he warned Leonor. The departure was kept secret by design. A young Indio slipping away to Spain to study medicine, and more dangerously, to study freedom, could not afford farewells that might alert the friars or compromise his family. But understand what this meant for the girl he left behind. Leonor Rivera woke up one morning in 1882 to discover that the man she loved was simply gone. No goodbye, no explanation, only an ocean where he used to be. Family accounts say that when she learned the truth, she fell ill with grief. And yet, she waited. Across 10,000 kilometers, the letters began. Madrid, Paris, Heidelberg. Rizal poured his loneliness onto paper, and Leonor answered in the careful hand of Times. He kept her photograph on his desk through the freezing European winters. When homesickness crushed him, and his letters to his family show it often did, it was her face he conjured. She was with him, in a way the world would only understand later, when he sat down in 1887 and finished a novel that would shake an empire, Noli Me Tangere. At its heart stands María Clara, gentle, devout, tragic, torn apart by forces greater than her love. Generations of historians and Rizal's own contemporaries have pointed to one woman as her living inspiration. Leonor Rivera. He immortalized her before he lost her. Perhaps some part of him already knew. In August 1887, after 5 years abroad, Rizal finally came home. The Noli had made him famous and marked. Friars denounced the book from pulpits. Colonial authorities monitored his movements in Calamba. And here, history delivers one of its cruelest small tragedies. The Rivera family had moved north, to Dagupan, in Pangasinan. Rizal wanted desperately to travel there, to see Leonor after years of ink and paper. But his own father, Don Francisco, forbade the journey. The roads were watched. The family name was already a target. A visit to the Riveras could bring the wrath of the authorities down on Leonor's household too. So José Rizal stood on the soil of his own country, a few days' journey from the woman he loved, and never made the trip. 6 months later, hounded by threats, he sailed for Europe again. He would never see Leonor Rivera's face again. Neither of them knew it yet. The silence that was manufactured. Now the story darkens, because what destroyed this love was not distance and not time. It was interception. In Dagupan, Doña Silvestra Bauzon made her decision. Her daughter would not be sacrificed on the altar of a marked man's destiny. Rizal was now openly hunted by the friars. Association with him had already cost families their lands, their freedom, their sons. Whatever we judge of her from history's distance, understand her as a mother in a colony where the wrong surname could be a death sentence. Her method was simple and devastating. The letters stopped arriving. Rizal wrote from Europe. According to the Rivera-Kipping family, Silvestra had asked the local postmaster to hold his letters before they reached Leonor's hands. Leonor wrote to him, and for long stretches, her letters met the same quiet wall. Month after month, each of them stared at an empty mailbox and drew the only conclusion the silence allowed. He has forgotten me. She has forgotten me. Two people, still in love, each mourning a betrayal that never happened. And into that engineered silence stepped a third figure. Henry Charles Kipping, a young English engineer working on the great Manila-Dagupan Railway that was then cutting its way north through the plains of Luzon. He met the Rivera family in Dagupan. He was respectable, foreign, safely apolitical. Everything Rizal was not. And Doña Silvestra approved of him completely. The pressure on Leonor mounted for months. She resisted. She wept. Family and community accounts passed down through the generations describe a young woman worn down by her mother's relentless campaign and by the corrosive belief that the man across the ocean had stopped writing, stopped caring, stopped waiting. She was in her early 20s. She had loved and waited for José Rizal since she was a young girl in Casa Tomasina. Then came the cruelest revelation. With the wedding already arranged and the date approaching, a letter from Europe slipped through while her mother was away. In the handwriting on the envelope, Leonor recognized a presence she had been told to bury. Rizal had not been silent at all. Cornered by this proof, Doña Silvestra, according to family lore, finally admitted what she had done. and produced the bundle of letters she had kept from her daughter for years. Leonor at last held in her hands the words that should have crossed the ocean to her long ago. She read them, every promise, every apology, every line proving he had kept faith while she was being pushed to forget. With the wedding already fixed and the truth finally in her hands, she did something radical. She wrote to him, the letter that broke him, and the ashes in the gown. Brussels, 1890. José Rizal is 28 years old, exiled, brilliant, and burning himself alive for a country that will one day execute him. He is deep in the writing of El Filibusterismo, the darker sequel to the Noli. A letter arrives from the Philippines. He recognizes the hand instantly. After more than a year of silence, Leonor. Imagine him tearing it open. Imagine the half-second of joy. The letter announces her forthcoming marriage to another man, an Englishman, Henry Charles Kipping, her mother's choice. She asks for his forgiveness. The man who stared down the Spanish Empire was destroyed by a single page. In his correspondence with his friends in Europe, especially Ferdinand Blumentritt, Rizal confessed how deeply the news affected him, writing of sleepless grief and a desolation his companions could see plainly. Some said they had never seen him so shattered, not by censorship, not by exile, not by the persecution of his family. By this, he had faced an empire without flinching. He could not face this letter. And in Dagupan, the church bells would soon ring. On June 17, 1890, Leonor Rivera, in white, walked toward Henry Kipping and spoke her vows. Before that day, following the Rivera-Kipping family's own stories, Leonor did something only a woman who refused to forget could do. She gathered Rizal's letters, the intercepted ones now finally in her possession and the few that had reached her, and she burned them. Not to erase him, to keep him. Family lore, repeated by historians, say she then gathered the ashes and had them sewn into the hem of her wedding gown, so that when she walked down the aisle, she carried his words stitched invisibly into the dress. Other versions from the same tradition add that she kept some of those ashes in a small box carved with their initials, J and L. Every step down that aisle, she walked on his words. Two graves. The story does not grant either of them mercy. Leonor and Henry Charles Kipping had at least two children. Their first was Carlos, Charles Rivera Kipping, and a later daughter, Caroline, died shortly after birth. On August 28, 1893, barely a few years after her wedding, Leonor Rivera died in Dagupan shortly after giving birth, at just 26 years old. Shortly before she died, family tradition says her last wish was that the little box containing the ashes of Rizal's burned letters be buried with her. The woman who inspired María Clara did not live to see 30. She did not live to see what her José would become. And Rizal? He carried her the rest of his days, which were also cruelly few. He would love again, or try to. Josephine Bracken would stand beside him at the end. But those who knew him and those who have studied his letters say the wound of Leonor never fully closed. He had written her into María Clara, and María Clara he could never unwrite. She remains, to this day, one of the most famous women in Philippine literature, grieving, faithful, destroyed by forces larger than her heart. Leonor's portrait, in a very real sense, hangs in every Filipino classroom. 3 years after Leonor's death, on December 30th, 1896, José Rizal walked to a field called Bagumbayan and fell to a Spanish firing squad. He was 35. years of love, 2 early graves, 1 immortal novel between them. And somewhere in the earth of Pangasinan, according to the family story, a wedding gown returned to dust. And nearby, a small box lay buried with her, holding the ashes of his letters. The love of José Rizal and Leonor Rivera was not defeated by another man. It was defeated by silence, by intercepted letters, by fear disguised as protection, by the words 2 people never got to say to each other. They spent years faithful to one another, and were undone in the 1 year they were made to believe they weren't. So learn what this story teaches at such terrible cost. Silence is never neutral. Unsaid words do not wait patiently. They rot into doubt, and doubt buries love faster than any rival ever could. If you love someone, say it while the saying still matters. Do not let anyone, not fear, not family, not distance, write your silence for you. And remember Leonor not as the woman who gave up, but as the woman who found a way to stay faithful inside surrender itself. She could not marry his future, so she wore his past in a dress sewn with ashes, and in a box she chose to take to the grave. If this story moved you, do not let it end here. Leonor Rivera waited years for letters that never came. All we're asking for is 1 tap. Like this video to honor a love the textbooks reduced to a footnote. And share this with someone who needs to hear the words you've been keeping in silence before the silence decides for you. Follow Pinas Unlimited, because Philippine history is not a list of dates. It is a chest full of burned letters, waiting for someone brave enough to open it.